CAFÉ, the evolution of financing. Welcome to the Futurist Mindset Show. My name is Tessa, and I want to introduce you to Reagan Rodriguez. Reagan is a futurist that teaches stratosphere wealthy legacy families how to become impact investors. Hi, Reagan. How are you?
Hello, I am doing better than I deserve. How about yourself,
Oh,
Tessa?
I'm very well. I'm doing very well. Thank you. And I'm excited to talk
Yeah,
about today's topic
yeah,
because
me
I
too.
don't know enough about this. So you're going to be teaching me as well as everyone that's on your audience today. So, do you want to just give us an overview of what the cafe is?
Sure, sure. Well, the cafe is something that took 420 years to figure out. Literally, no exaggeration, 420 years. There was common stock that began in 1602, and then in 1836 was preferred stock, and then in 1850 was what was known as convertible preferred stock, and then convertible notes, and then in 2021, yet it really was 2022, this new type of security that essentially took out all of the financing options on the table for entrepreneurs and then just picked out all the good parts. And we wrote out a lot of very clever language to block out all the bad parts. So, as you know, Tessa, I've been working with humanitarian projects in developing countries for 15, going on 16 years now. And so what the story behind it, I don't think I had shared that with you before. I was approached by a very exclusive and elite uh, underground kind of group out of the south of France because they had developed a new type of convertible equity security that nobody had heard of before. And getting back on topic, it's called the CAFÉ. It stands for Continuous Agreement for Future Equity, and it's a remarkable security. It took out all of the good parts of convertible debt, safes, and crowdfunding, and then kind of recrafted it into a new security that avoids all of the pitfalls of all the other forms of fundraising. And I really did at the time. I just felt really just fortunate. I felt blessed that I was invited to the dance, as one might say, to be an advisor between the technology company that invented the security. I even remember I was talking to a friend of mine that served at the time as the vice president of the European Parliament, and Eva had mentioned something to me. She said, "Look, Regan, we had known each other because we were in the same capstone project when we were at Oxford, so we knew each other pretty well." And she said to me, "This is so you to the core. It lines up to your ethics, to your worldview thinking." She said, "The way you think globally." I actually think vertically, but that's okay. I had to throw in my public service announcement. Let me get back to the topic here. What is the CAFÉ? It's a convertible security, but unlike a safe, which has unknown dilution until a future financing round, a CAFÉ has fixed dilution and it's set up front. Another especially valuable feature of a CAFÉ is that it has a liquidity component. You might know that if you're an investor in a safe or a convertible note, you're waiting for a future conversion event. With a CAFÉ, if you buy into the CAFÉ tokens and you hold them for 12 months, that's the mandatory holding period, they actually are on an automatic secondary market trading platform and you can sell them. So investors have the option of holding onto their CAFÉ units, or if they choose to, they can sell them to other investors.
Interesting. Very
Mhm.
interesting. So, who is the primary user of the cafe
Sure.
typically?
Good question. I'm glad you brought that up. You know that my minimum is 10 million, so let's just start there. But most of our projects, as you've noticed, that fit better for the cafe have been more in the 100 million or above. And most are in alternative energy projects, whether it's a solar farm, wind farm, or of course my favorite, which is waste to energy projects, right? Taking trash and converting that into energy. I actually had a call earlier this morning in Cape Town in South Africa, and then they referred me to another project in Malaysia, and that was more of a wastewater kind of treatment facility. And then from there, they referred me to somebody in Thailand that also was like a clean water project. And then from there, I just got another referral that came in today in Indonesia. So I think the best way to answer the question is by saying infrastructure, not a traditional or a conventional business. Tessa, if that kind of answers it.
It does. Well, and who else would benefit from using a cafe?
A common denominator so far is that they are in some way related to humanitarian initiatives. So some of our clients that Tessa, you have met, have been either solar projects in Uganda, an ethanol plant in Tanzania, or a solar project in Zimbabwe to even a sustainable community in Ghana. Speaking of Ghana, I was approached last week by the government in Ghana, and they are retaining me to help them set up a cafe to build a housing community. It's going to, I don't want to get too much into it, but it involves a sustainable community. I was actually referred by two different people on that project. So the way it works there is they have to get three bids, and my name was mentioned twice. So I'm only really going up against one person. So I
Oh,
kind of have that one in the bag.
that's
A few
exciting.
years ago, I'd helped build a small hospital. So I'm kind of confident on that one. Anyhow, go ahead. I sensed you wanted to ask another question.
I do. I have a couple questions. So, what
Yeah.
surprised you the most when you implemented it?
The most difficult part is that it's some of the components of it are kind of upside down thinking. Okay. For example, we're accustomed to thinking that the more money that's invested in a security, then the larger the dilution follows, right? With a safe, for example, you know that while you may expect the money raised to dilute the owners 10%, it could be as much as 20 or 30 because you don't know what the conversion rate is until there's a follow-up round. One of the things that's surprising and takes maybe some getting used to is that regardless of how much money is invested in a company's cafe, the conversion or the dilution percentage stays fixed. And it can take some, business owners a bit to kind of get, used to that.
Oh, gotcha. What's the most important benefit you found in the cafe funds?
Yeah. Using cafe tokens as alternative to to a stock option plan, or using cafe tokens to pay professionals. We're starting to see a growing acceptance on that part of professionals to take some part of their fees in cash and some, part in tokens because they get an upside attached to it. It's an easy process, I think I'll say, for an entrepreneur. Unlike other convertible notes and safes, which they have a lot of negotiation involved for each, individual instrument. Things like they'll have preemptive rights, delusion rights, and a cafe is quite simple. You make all of those decisions with me up front with our help, and then you launch it and it's done. It's very low maintenance. A cafe doesn't have any financial obligations. There's no 8K, 10K, 10Q filing. Unlike a safe or convertible note, there's really no governance here. So you have safe investors with preemptive rights or approval rights on certain things that, or excuse me, did I say you do? You don't. Okay, you don't have safe investors with preemptive rights or approval rights or certain things that you want to do with your company. Go ahead. I
No,
sense there was,
that's perfect. No, we have a couple more questions, but the next one is what changed the way you thought about it? That made you come up with these unconventional features.
Mhm. Well, I can't take the credit for that. It was actually designed that way from the start. So the fact that it's a convertible security with a fixed dilution, because it's filed under a Reg D exemption, a safe harbor exemption. So as long as you meet the rules of the SEC, you can incorporate as many features and characteristics as you like. In fact, a lot of what we do, right, when we work with clients is we walk you through each of the individual options. We present the alternatives, the pros and cons of each, and eventually we get to all 15 or 20 discussions, and then you have a CAFÉ that works exactly the way you want it.
Sounds perfect. I mean, it sounds amazing. So,
Yeah.
based on your experience, what do you consider doing next?
Well, because you helped me with that. Do you want to share your screen? I think this is a perfect time
I
and show the
do.
website that you developed for us.
Oh, yes.
So I've already been getting umpteen compliments on it. Who did your website? So if anyone's looking at this, Tessa did it.
Oh, well, thank you. And our design team, I'm very proud to be associated with this project, of course. So I have
Thank you.
there. Now you should be able to see it. So this is worthyfutures.com. You guys should all go check it out. And we're going to go to
Yeah,
become
click
an
on that one,
equity
become an equity
investor.
investor. The website, the way Tessa designed it, it's almost like the complete business plan. So everything on there you'll see is kind of like the business plan online. And
Mhm.
then if you want to learn more about investing, I am eventually going to get that to our funding portal at Fairmint, which is the group out of the south of France that I referred to. But for now, click where it says invest now. And from there, you just fill in your info and that'll go right to me.
Yes, absolutely. So, well, Regan, I love this idea of a new fund that can do so much for so many people, so many businesses, and do so much good for our environment too. I know you focus on the projects that give back so much. So I just want to say thank you for what you do. I know this is a lot of work. What you do is a lot of work. So I just want to say thank
Yeah.
you. And of course, thank you for always giving us so much information on the show, on the Futurist Mindset show, too. Is there anything else that you wanted to add before we go today?
No, there isn't. I just, when you said that there's a lot of moving parts to what I do, you kind of have been seeing that over the last week or two with everything that's involved on stuff. And you're again great to work with. Thank you for hosting, and I think that's it. We're done.
Always, always. Well, you guys, worthyfutures.com, you can go check it out. And of course, hit the bell to get reminders when we go live. And we'll keep you posted on everything CAFÉ related. So thank you, Regan. We'll see you all next week. Have a blessed week. Bye.